Hi, welcome to Car Mechanical. Today I'm going to take you through how I've tried to fix my lifters from ticking. Now the first thing I need to do is show you some clips where hopefully you can notice the ticking here. So I'm going to overly rev out the engine a little bit, so keep it in the same gear. Now you should be able to hear a bit of a tick, 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 tick. We're going to do another one on the driveway where there's no road noise as well. I'm just going to keep the rev sustained. And hopefully you've heard some of the ticking there that I'm going to be trying to resolve in this video. Now what I believe this ticking is caused by, I believe it's caused by the hydraulic tappets being a bit clogged up and getting a bit stuck. So I know this car's had the cams changed, I know that's not the issue. I also know it's had the fuel pump changed. I don't think that's the issue unless it's wearing out again, but this is what we're going to try. So in this video I'm going to throw a barrage of things at the car to see if we can get rid of the lifter noise. So I'm going to try the valve lifter treatment first. We're also going to try diesel, we're going to try engine flush, and with all of these we'll be changing the oil each time. So the first one I've tried is the hydraulic valve lifter treatment, and reading online, this is one that, it apparently can take up to a few hundred miles to work. So I've tried this, I ran it for a good few weeks before I did the next stage that you can see in this video, and it might have been ever so slightly smoother, but it didn't resolve things whatsoever. However, I have heard that people online have had joy with this in various marks and models of car, and it might not be that I've got the hydraulic tappet issue at the end of this, but we'll never know. I need to try everything, and in making this video it's only fair that I share everything that I've done and tried to either help or prevent people from trying the same needlessly. So once I'd done and used the treatment for a few weeks, it was time to drain the oil. So the plan here was to drain a couple of litres of oil, and didn't really go too well because it was very thin. I actually warmed the car up before this. The oil was very hot because I wanted to get everything draining out. Now the only problem with having very hot oil is that when you drain the oil you get this sort of effect, which is why I've slowed it down for. It's going to go absolutely everywhere. So I end up making a mess of myself and of the drive, and I end up draining all of the oil, needing to top it up. The initial plan here was to drain just a couple of litres and to put a couple of litres of diesel into the engine. What I've ended up doing is essentially another full oil change on top of the plan that I had. So just be careful when you are changing the oil, maybe use a funnel, which I'll clock onto later. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to top up some of the lost oil that I've had. So I just checked things over and I noticed that rather than being at maybe the halfway point of oil, I'm below where I want to be. So I put a couple of litres of oil back in, or I take it up to sort of the halfway point, and then I want to put 2 litres of diesel in as well. So we're going to switch over to that. Now the oil I'm using here is normally a reasonable oil that I used to use on my 1.9 TDI. I wouldn't use it for a regular change, but it's only staying in for 20 minutes, so we're going to be flushing all of this away. And the next thing is we're going to use diesel. Now this might seem like a very odd thing to use. I'm only going to put 2 litres in because I know that's what's in the can there, and I'm only going to be running it in the car for 20 minutes. And now the whole point of this is diesel is a very, very good cleaner that can help clear deposits. However, long term it could damage some of your gaskets and seals inside the engine, but for 20 minutes I'm confident that it will be okay. So that was run for 20 minutes, and we're going to drain that out and be more careful not to make the mess I did the first time. So once we've drained all of that, we're going to go for our next treatment. So in each of these changes, again, what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to clear any deposits either within the engine or also within the hydraulic tappets themselves, or the valve lifters, just to get things running nice like they should be. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to use another oil. So I'm actually using a fully synthetic oil. I bought this from Asda. It's complete flush oil, to be honest. It was £10 for 5 litres, but it's going to do the trick for what I want. So we're going to fill this oil into the engine, then we're going to warm the engine up, and then we're going to use the engine flush, and we're going to run the car through the time directed on the back of that, and then we're going to drain that, and then we're going to go on to the last of the oil changes, which is for fully synthetic oil. So I'm just going to start it up now, and I'm going to come grab the engine flush in a minute because it's going to drop off. So we've let that warm up, and now we're going to drop the flush into the engine. So far what we've done is we've done the lifter treatment, then we've drained that oil, we've done the diesel additive, run that for 20 minutes and drained it, we've changed that oil, and now we're onto the engine flush, and we're going to run that for the time indicated, which I think it was, yeah, it says 20 minutes, so I'm going to run that for another 20 minutes. and then we're going to drain that and move on to the normal change. Now, when it came to selecting the products I've selected for this, I've just used Wins because if it wasn't too expensive, it didn't seem to be the lowest tier of product on the market, it didn't seem to be the highest, but when I looked into it, the additives in most of these seem to be fairly similar. That's for the lifter treatment and also for the engine flush. And the whole cost of everything I'm doing here today is about £50. So one thing that maybe you could criticise about the method I've used is I've only changed one filter, which I'm going to do after this. But after running the engine for 20 minutes, we're going to take the oil out from this engine flush run, and then this is when we're going to change the oil filter. So I had some leftover oil anyway. I also had the £10 Asda oil. The two treatments cost between £10 and £15. The filters are about £7 to £8, and proper fully synthetic oil I used, I actually got a really good rate of about £15, which I'm going to put in at the end. So all of this exercise, it's still come out relatively cheap in the grand scheme of changing your oil 3 times. So what we're going to do now, we're going to change the oil filter. Now, as I said, this is the one thing that might have benefited to change the filter every time. However, I'm not really so sure because of I was trying to clear any debris in the lifters. I'm not sure that changing the filter would have helped in that. So we're going to take the old filter out, and normally I do my servicing every 5,000 to 6,000 miles. So if anything, the big thing of this effort will be that I've really given it a good flush between its next 5,000 mile change. So we're going to put the new filter in. It's just a sort of bog standard oil filter, and then we're going to tighten that up, and then we're going to put the final engine oil in. So whilst I'm doing all this, I'm going to talk about the results of this. Did it work? I'm not going to take it out for a video because it's hard to make out the tapping noise anyway. When you're in the car, it's something that's very noticeable, but it's hard to pick up on video. So we're just going to put the drain plug back in, and then we'll stick the oil in. In a word, no, it didn't work. The reason for it could be that the deposits in the lifters are too much, or maybe it could only be one of the 24 lifters is jammed, but it didn't give me the result I was looking for. But one thing it has given me is peace of mind that it's had a very good clean out before moving over to fully synthetic VW 507 standard rated oil, which is what I'm putting in now. And the other reason I've covered all of this, it might seem excessive, but if you're thinking about the same thing, these are things that you can maybe take into consideration if you're thinking about doing the same thing. Longer term, what I need to do, I probably need to strip the heads down and take the tappets off and put new ones in. There could just be one that's really badly stuck, and no matter what kind of treatment, it wouldn't free itself up. This is the cheaper way to find out. It looks like I'm going to have to spend the time and the money to do it properly. However, that means I need to take the car off the road probably for a week. I don't see it as being a quick job. So that will be something I'll probably do early next year. Now, one thing that I want to point out, there is a slight chance that the ticking noise could be caused by clattering injectors. Now, I do want to replace the injectors and upgrade them because the car's capable of probably about 300 horsepower with the turbo that it's got on it. But I don't want to replace the injectors and have these hydraulic lifters, if they are the issue, that could become a failure point. So I probably need to sort both of them, and that's going to be something that I'll be looking to do next year. Now, I do have some other videos that I'll be making about things that have, either helped the car's performance or tried to quieten things down with fuel additives, and I'll be covering that off in separate videos. But I hope this video has been interesting. I don't know if it's necessarily been helpful, if it just gives some information and puts it out there. What I'm aiming to do long term is get this car running perfectly and getting it to the point where it runs anywhere between 250 and 300 horsepower. I'm quite interested to know what it makes at the moment, so hopefully by the end of the year I'll be getting it onto an all-wheel drive dyno, and I'm hoping for figures around 200 to 220 horsepower. And if anything, I'm going to close out the video with this: just be very careful when you do stuff like this. Make sure that you use a funnel, make sure that you cover your drive, because things can make a huge mess. You can see the mess that's here. Luckily, this gave me a video to make on cleaning up your driveway, but I wish I wasn't put in that position where I had to clean up the driveway of the place that I rent. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'd be interested to hear your feedback on it. It's one of the videos that has been a weird one to make because I was hoping for a positive outcome and I've not quite got what I wanted, but I know that I got a good engine oil change done in the process. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with anyone you think would be interested in it, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. Okay guys, thank you for watching.